I'm a technologist, so I love technology, I love the internet, and I really believe in its promise and its potential to do incredible things for our world, igniting conversations that need to be had.
Mozilla is honoring 25 people who are shaping the future of the internet. Here are their stories.
I was 13 years old when I started ReThink. I'm 23 today, so it's been a decade in the making.
You've got 10 years running your business.
10 years running my business, yes. My name is Trisha Prabhu, and I'm the founder and CEO of ReThink, a global movement with the mission of tackling cyberbullying and redefining internet culture to be more positive. We do that by building technology that encourages youth to pause, review, and rethink before they say something offensive online. As a young girl, I experienced online harassment. So I knew the issue of cyberbullying really well. But for a long time, I thought that's just an experience that happened to me, there's nothing I can do about it. When I was 13 was when I started to read and see news stories of other young people that had been cyberbullied. In some cases, quite literally to their death. And for me, it was that wake-up call, that moment of, oh my goodness, this is a silent pandemic affecting youth everywhere. Something needs to be done about this. As a young person, I felt like there weren't enough young voices in the dialogue about how to tackle cyberbullying, and in particular, how we could take a proactive approach to stop the hate before it happened. So ReThink started as just an app. Today, it's become what I like to call a global movement. We've actually impacted youth in 136 nations globally. That's through our technology, which proactively detects cyberbullying that youth can download onto a device, through our educational work, which teaches youth really key digital literacy and anti-hate concepts, and through our anti-cyberbullying advocacy, which aims to raise awareness about cyberbullying and its harms, and equip youth to be upstanders to hate. We too often see, too few young people at the table thinking about internet harms and thinking about solution creation. It means that their lived experiences are ultimately taken out of that process when there's so much value that they can add. As a woman of color, I've also seen firsthand, that there are so few women creating and building the technologies that we use, so few people of color creating and building the technologies that we use. So reclaiming the internet for me is putting our voices back into that dialogue, and not just back into that dialogue, but at the forefront of that dialogue. And I think in doing that, we can start to think in ways that we haven't about what the internet can be, and in ways that we haven't about how we can tackle some of its most pressing challenges. Mozilla is this organization that's been really leading the conversation as to how we realize that digital world that is simultaneously, doing all the things that we want it to do, and also not doing the things that we don't want it to do, right? Finding that balance. So to have them recognize and validate the work ReThink is doing, it's incredibly gratifying. I would have never imagined, that I'd be here when I was 13 years old. I would say to young people, based on my experience with ReThink, just know that your voice is so, so important. And you can start by, thinking global, but acting local. What's one, specific issue on the internet that you can, potentially tackle? But recognize, right, that small impact can have a ripple effect of change. And it might just be the stepping stone towards the reality that we want for our world online and offline.